Hello, the best leaders in the world. How are you all doing? Hope you're having a wonderful time at home. God bless you all. We want to quickly look at some of the things we did last time. But before we do that, remember, COVID-19 cannot stop us from learning. It can never stop us from advancing. So we want to take this time out to learn some of those things we did last time. And this class is for upper primary 5 and 6. Please pay attention to this class if you must take something out of it. Last time we were taught verbs, and under verbs we learned the meaning of verbs, the types of verbs, examples of verbs. Under the types of verbs we were taught finite and non-finite verbs. We were also taught lexical and auxiliary verbs, transitive and intransitive verbs. We were taught irregular and regular verbs. We also learned modal auxiliary verbs and the primary auxiliary verbs. Apart from verbs, we're also taught adjectives. Today we are going to start with verbs, and under it we are just going to learn meaning of verb, types of verbs, and some examples. A verb is an action word or a word that expresses a state or being. A verb is an action word or a word that expresses a state or being. When I say a verb is an action word, I mean a verb asks us to do something. A verb tells us to do a particular thing. With a verb, we know that we are going to carry out an action. That is what a verb does in a sentence. However, not all verbs tell us to do a particular thing. Some verbs are only helping in sentences. They help the main verbs, or they just help the sentence to make more sense. These are the verbs that express states or being. Now, to further understand how a verb shows action, if I enter your class, as I usually do, and I say, Joanne, stand. The word stand tells Joanne not to sit again, but to be on her own feet. That is how a verb can show action. If I say, Joanne, run, Joanne will start running. That means she's no longer going to just stand, but she's going to move her legs and move them faster. If I say, Joanne, write, that means Joanne was not writing. She wasn't doing anything. Or maybe she was doing something else. Now, Joanne writes. The word write tells Joanne that she is going to use her pen to do something on her book, or to write on her book. That means an action is going to be carried out. She's not going to be idle as she was before, or playful as she was if she was playing, or if she were playing earlier. This is how verbs show action or tell us to do something. Now, when we say verbs express a state or being, for instance, if I make a sentence like, the boy is a good boy, the boy is a good boy, in that sentence, there is no action. The verb in the sentence is not telling us to do anything. However, the verb is helping that sentence to make more sense. There is no any other verb there, but that verb in that sentence is helping the sentence to look more grammatical. And the verb is. If I remove is from that sentence, the sentence will no longer make sense. It will just look as if some women, market women, or some farmers or women in the village are learning how to speak. For instance, let me remove the word is. The boy a good boy. It doesn't make any sense. It looks so funny. The boy a good boy. It does not make any sense. So that is the reason we use verbs. We use verbs to show action, and we use verbs to also make sentence look more grammatical. Sometimes this verb assists the main verbs, which are the lexical verbs. They assist them in sentences to make more sense. So let's look at the types of verbs. We have two types of verbs. The two main types of verbs are the finite verb and the non-finite verbs. The finite verbs and the non-finite verbs. Finite verbs. When we say something is finite, it means the thing is limited. Finite means limited. So if the word finite means limited, that should give us a clue on what a finite verb is. A finite verb is a verb that is limited. How is it limited? The word finite verb is limited by its subject. So a finite verb is a verb that is limited by its subject. A finite verb is a verb that is limited by its subject. What do I mean by its subject? Subject is the doer of an action. The subject is that thing that the writer or the speaker is talking or writing about. The subject is mostly used to begin a sentence. We use nouns and pronouns as subjects. For example, the boy left home earlier today. The boy is the subject of the sentence because he carried out a particular action. That is what we mean by a subject. So, if we said a verb is limited based on the subject of the sentence, we mean that that verb cannot be used with any subject. It must be used with specific subjects. Example, we have words like have and has. Have does not go with it. It cannot be used with she. It cannot be used with the boy. It cannot be used with the girl. The boy have. It doesn't make sense. The girl have. It does not make sense. But we rather say the girl has. The boy has. So if we want to make use of have, then we are going to use words like you, I, we, they, the girls, the boys, the men, the children, the women, the tables, the books. So everything we want to talk about has to be plural, apart from words like you and I. So every other thing has to be plural for us to use have. While using has, it means everything has to be what? Singular. Every word you're going to use should be what? A single word. The word should be referring to one person or one thing. That's what I mean. For instance, she has eaten. He has eaten. It has eaten. The boy has eaten. The girl has eaten. All singular words. We can use has for any word that represents one thing or one person. But we cannot do that with have. Have goes with plural words, except for I and you. So this is how a verb can be limited by its subjects. Now let's look at the non-finite verb. But before that, the two types of the finite verbs are the lexical verbs and the auxiliary verbs. Now the non-finite verb. The non-finite verb, as the name implies, these are verbs that are not limited by their subjects. That is to say, they can be used with any subject at all. They are not limited by the subject. They go with any subject. Example of the non-finite verbs are running, playing, singing, called, heard, talked, to eat, to run, to play, heard, singing, walking, looking, cooking, eating. These are all non-finite verbs. The reason is because these verbs can go with any subject at all. They are not limited by the subject of the sentence. They are not limited. They go with any subject. That's why they are called non-finite verbs. Let me make a sentence. She is playing in the field. He is playing in the field. That playing can go with even plural verbs or plural subjects rather. They are playing, not just he and she or it, but now we are playing, the boys are playing, as well as the boy is playing. So these verbs go with any subject at all. Any subject, which means the subject can be plural or singular. They are not limited by any subject. That is why they are called non-finite verbs. Non-finite verbs. There are three types of the non-finite verbs. These are gerunds, verbs ending in ing, like running, playing, singing, talking. They are gerunds. We also have infinitives, verbs like to eat, That means they begin with the word to eat, to play, to dance. She likes to play, she likes to eat, she likes to talk, she likes to sing, she likes to study. We also have the last part of it, which is the participles. These are sometimes like past tense. These verbs are verbs that denote that an action was carried out in the past. Example, called, sang, looked, talked, eaten, broken, etc. We have a lot of examples for all these types of verbs that I've listed. So I will advise that you check your book, your textbooks, and see more examples if you really want to. And that would be a good thing to do, and God will bless you. So for today, this is the class. This is where we are going to stop. Next time we are going to meet, we'll discuss more about verbs. Don't forget, today we have discussed what a verb is, the meaning of a verb. I said a verb is an action word or a word that expresses a state or being. I explain what I mean by action and a state or being. And I have also told you the types of verbs. I said there are two types of verbs. The two types of verbs are the finite and the non-finite verbs. And under the finite verbs, we say these are verbs that are limited by their subjects. And these verbs are divided into two. We have the lexical verbs and the auxiliary verbs. And we went further to the non-finite verbs. We say, as the name implies, the verb non-finite verbs is a verb that is not limited by its subjects. It is not limited by a subject because it can go with any subject in a sentence. And we say they are also subdivided into three. We have the gerunds, infinitives, and participles. Now, this is your homework for this class we just concluded. Take a sheet of paper and write down the questions. Please do this homework and submit it to this platform. That will determine how serious you are with these studies. Number 1 question, what is a verb? What is a verb? Number 2, what are the two main types of verbs? What are the two main types of verbs? Number 3, define a finite verb. Define a finite verb. Number 4, define non-finite verb. Define non-finite verb. Number 5, give the types of non-finite verbs and 2 examples of each. Give the types of non-finite verbs and 2 examples of each. Take care of yourselves and have a wonderful stay at home. Stay safe. God bless you. Bye.